Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you for joining me again today for another card making video. We're using In the Groove today. Very tempting to say In the Groove, but In the Groove is what we're using. Nice new set, so we can build some nice mountain scenes. A little cute little sort of fox thing in there as well. Okay, so lovely little set. The dies are really cute. So we've got stuff that coordinates the stamps and the fox. We've also got a little squirrel, a rabbit, and then these nice trees here as well to make like a nice panorama scene for our cards too. So but we're going you know, something a bit more muted, something that possibly we could give to the guys as well today. So we'll be making a variation of this card. Okay, so lots of shades of green in there, bit of ink blending. This is a pecan pie card base with a bit of Night of Navy in the background as well. Okay, so I've used the pecan pie on the sentiment. So really kind of muted, natural sort of tones. Okay, but as you know, I always try and give you some different colour options. We've got Smoky Slate, we've got Golden Apple Green, we've got Old Olive, and we've got some Garden Green coming through here as well. Okay, so that's the combo in this particular card. But of course we're gonna spin that up. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in Basic Beige today. I'm really enjoying this colour. Just a really nice alternative to white, without being, you know, too dark or anything like that. And the layering I'm going to do with crumb cake. That's nice, isn't it? Okay, so I've used Basic Beige now with Early Espresso, which looks phenomenal. It looks great black as well, but look at that with the crumb cake. Really lovely buttery sort of combination. It's so nice. Okay, so that's what we'll go with. So those can be put to one side just for the moment until we're ready to construct what we're going to do. I've done a little bit of die cutting ahead of time, and I've already cut 3 sets of those little fir trees to put into the foreground. There's one in Pretty Peacock and I've got 2 in Shaded Spruce, so another green combination. Okay, but we'll get some stamping done and get the rest of this built. Just grabbing some scraps, sorry. So we're going to be stamping off the page with some of our stamps here. Now, I have got these mounted up on eye blocks. Now, okay, I don't think we haven't got the eye block anymore. But I have them, so I'm using them, so we'll just mount those up. I'm going to stick with Smoky Slates for the mountings though. It's a nice pale grey, which I think will be nice with the rest of the colours that we're using today. I've got loads of other greys that we could use, depending on the look that you want. There's Grey Granite, Basic Grey, and then we've got Pebbled Path as well, which is one of the in colours. And because it is such a large stamp, you want to make sure that's inked all the way across. And actually, because it's a mountain, it probably doesn't matter if there's a little bit that hasn't quite inked up as well as it could. I don't know, what's that, about 1 3/4 of an inch from the top, and we'll pop that somewhere around there. Okay, so you've got a bit of wriggle room because this panel is smaller than a full card width. Okay, so there's our lovely mountains, and of course that will dry back a little bit as well. Okay, but now those mountains are in, it means that we can pop in some of our skyline, which we'll just do ever so quickly, just with whatever residual ink is left on both my light and dark blue blending brushes. So this isn't going to be very dark at all, but it just takes off the stark white from the basic white cardstock. Okay, and the fact that it's a little bit sort of misty just gives that impression of a nice sort of clear, bright sky. Put those back in a second, and then we'll just go around the very edge just a little bit with some of that darker colour as well. Okay, doesn't look like much when like this, but when it all comes together, I think it looks really nice to have that nice sort of sky dropped in at the top there. Okay, so on the original as well, I've also got this layer in the background, okay, which on this card I die cut. Okay, but you don't have to die cut it, you could just stamp it into place. Okay, so we'll get that into place. We will use Granny Apple Green again. I want something a little paler to drop in. Lemon Lime Twist is a little bit on the yellow side for the look that I'm looking for, and I thought the Soft Seafoam would be a bit pale. So we'll get that inked up, and we're just going to, sorry if you saw a bit of the top of my head then, so we'll just hover over there and we'll pop that down just across there, just to put something in the base of those mountains there. Okay, and you know, it'll overlap a little bit, and there might be some gaps here and there, but I don't think that looks too bad. But if you want to prefer to die cut it and have that extra layer in there, then obviously you can do that too. Alright, so while we've got the Granny Apple Green out, we're going to just do a little bit of ink blending across the bottom of this layer. That's more to tie it all together at the end. This is just to take the white off. We're going to be layering another piece on top. So from the side, you'll be able to see this white layer underneath, and it can look a little harsh. So by just popping this ink over the top, means that those two layers are going to sort of sit together a little bit more cohesively. That will do for now. Okay, alright, so that's just to, so I don't know whether on this one you can see that there's that layer underneath, which I've actually added that after the fact because it was bright white and sort of really stuck out. So I just ran a marker underneath just to kill that bright white layer. Okay, alright, so that's why we've done that. So for now, this piece is done with. Okay, I've got another piece of cardstock here, which is the same width as that layer, and I'm going to pull in this die, which cuts these cute trees, but it just cuts the top of the trees. So if you look where the cut line is, the raised edge here is where it will cut, but there is no cutting edge on this bottom piece. Okay, so it's going to cut you a tree line, but leave the rest uncut. Okay, so we can pop that across there and just line it up where you think you want it. So you've got a bit of wriggle room, so you're not ending up with hopefully not ending up with strange little bits that are going to be difficult to manage. And we'll tape that into place and we'll run that through. Oops. So we'll just die cut that quickly, and that's going to sit across here. So it only takes a second because it's only one little cutting line, and it will just that top piece will just peel away. Okay, a few little snaggly bits in there. We can just poke those out. Okay, and we have this lovely tree line. Okay, Now we could cut that in green cardstock, but I felt like it would look a little harsh, just being one colour of green. So what I opted to do was actually blend this in, and obviously it will, I should have, so the reason I've got that big blob is because I didn't tap that off enough. Okay, so hopefully one of my trees will fix how that looks. You need to start off your page and work your way down. Don't put your brush straight onto the page. Okay, so it's going to fade in at the bottom. I might just turn that round actually and just go around that edge just ever so slightly. As I say, just taking off that stark white. Okay, but I want these trees to be nice and dark so that they show up against the stamped little element that we had in there as well. So just applying some pressure because my fingers are on the head of the brush. Just helps you get that ink transferred. Okay, and you can come back down again if you feel like you want to put any more down there. Let's see how that looks against our card. Okay, so you see how I want that, even though it's the same shade, by building up the colour, it's going to help it ping out a little bit. Could bring in a little bit of the shaded spruce or the Lost Lagoon on there as well, just to help intensify that. So this is my light green brush. I've got a dark green one which will have some residual ink on it, and I could just use a bit of that as well, just to help pull that out. Okay, got lots of brushes everywhere now. Okay, so now when those layer together, you can definitely see those trees pinging out, and then it's up to you now how low you want to go on that. Obviously there's some white portion there which you probably don't want to see. You probably want that to blend in a little bit. Okay, so I would say it was probably around there, but because we left lots of length on this, oh actually I should have blended that after I've cut it down. I now know where I need to cut down this piece of paper. Okay, so I can just make a little mark on that. Let's put this ink pad away before it causes mischief. And I can bring in the trimmer. I can line up that mark in that cutting groove there and just slice that off. That's a little scrap that we can use for something else. And we can just make sure that that raw edge is nice and flat, and just cover that bottom edge again with some ink. Okay, so that's what we have. So this one I want to actually lift up, so it sort of adds some dimension as well. Okay, so we'll get some, what are these called? Dimensionals. Okay, and we can lay these across the bottom. And I think I might just do a few of those. I'll put 4 on along the bottom. Or you could use some of the edge pieces if you wanted to. Okay, and then we'll make sure that the side is supported as well. By putting a couple there. straight edge on those pads is going to help with that. And then we'll just put one just there, just to stop that middle portion just coming undone. Just thought before I do that, I'll put this onto its onto the crumb cake layer, because otherwise it might be difficult to get the tape on with all those dimensionals on the back. Let's just pop that on. Like so. Now we can pop these backs off. So it's a few more than I would normally. I'm kind of quite skimpy with dimensionals because you don't need a load, but because we've got a really flat piece that I want to make sure is going to sort of hold up, I just want that to make sure that that's got all the support that it needs. And line up the bottom and just make sure that that's nice and in place. Okay, and now because I've applied the ink, okay, you can see the dimensional, but the white cardstock isn't creating a horrible white layer underneath there. Okay, so I think just having that little bit of ink underneath really helps it just come together. Okay, I think I might actually pop this onto the card base as well, which I probably should have done before I put that layer on, for the same reasons, but we've got the extra layer now, so that should be fine. You've got the dimensionals on there, it's a bit bumpy, but that extra piece of crumb cake has helped with that. Line that up. Okay, and then we can just pop on our trees in the foreground and our sentiment. So we've got, I need to cover up that boo-boo of blending. Okay, and I want these at different levels, and actually that one's got to go higher up than that one, and then this one's, so I want them to come gradually forward, give the illusion that some are further away than others, even though they're the same size. Okay, and you can mess about with the layout of these and how you want them to look, but that's looking okay at the moment. Before we commit to that, we'll get the sentiments. This is Just For You, which is actually from the Choose Happy stamp set, I think. No, it isn't. It's from Labelled With Love. It's from this one. Okay, this is a cute set. I've got loads of different elements on it, kind of to make tags really, but you know, I always try and think outside the box with these things. But that Just For You is what we're using. Okay, so it's a photopolymer stamp, and I thought a nice pop of colour would be nice. So I think I was going to go with one of the reds. Shall I go with Real Red, or shall I go with Cherry Cobbler that's a bit more muted? Shall we do Cherry Cobbler? I think so. And we need a strip of cardstock, and I've got, oh, you know how you collect all these little strips of cuts and things like that? So just grab one of those, whichever one you fancy. So that's going to be about 1/2 inch, I should imagine. And we're going to be cutting into this side, aren't we? So let's pop that somewhere there, so we can make sure that we cut that down where we want it. Just going to get that red ink straight off there, because it does stain the stamp, and it just annoys me. It just tricks my want for everything to be nice and clean and shiny that they stain. So I just like to get those off. It doesn't harm them at all. I just don't like the fact that they go pink. So we will trim off the end of this so that we can tuck it behind one of the trees. Okay, so that doesn't need to be terribly straight, and that's another piece that we'll probably do for another sentiment at another time. And then we can just do a little flag on the end by snipping in at approximately the halfway point and then cutting in from the corners to get our little flag ends there. Okay, and because we're going to be tucking that in, we probably only want a dimensional or two on this cut end here. The rest will be held in place by the other elements on the card. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we're eyeballing this and then we're not going to run out of room. Okay, so I call this a dry build, so it's just kind of just messing about with it to make sure that we're going to get the look that we want. Okay, so you might end up actually putting that over the top of that tree rather than cutting it underneath, which is also fine, which means I think I might flag the other end. Okay, so we'll do exactly what we did before. I'm going to take that point to roughly where that one is away, so that's what, about an 1/8 of an inch away, maybe a bit more. It's a bit longer, so I'll just eyeball the angle a little bit there. And you can always flip that over and you'll get the same cut on both sides. And you can see how far off you were with the what you thought the middle was. Okay, so that's not very neat. Let's try that. Okay. So it's not the best flag end in the world. If you've got a punch for it or something, then go for it. Okay, so let's pop these onto some dimensionals as well. So lots of texture. So I'm just going to do a couple on each of these. They don't overlap each other too much. There we go. So this one higher up. This one hanging off but a bit lower. This one's going to overlap, so I might want to put an extra one on this bottom one because we've got to compensate for that. Ooh. Provided you haven't pressed it down, can peel up those dimensionals before you've committed to them. There we go. So now we've got loads of texture on there and we can just pop in our sentiment banner. Okay, now again, because we've doubled that up, I think we're going to have to put on, which I wasn't anticipating doing. That's fine. Sometimes the design has to evolve with the way things turn out. So we'll double that up and then we can pop that in, and again it can come off the edge there, and it just sort of brings it all together really. Okay, so there we go, it's all finished. Okay, So you can really play around with colour on this, okay? So much deeper shades on this one. This one's a little bit on the brighter side, and then this one, I didn't complete it, I didn't add the sentiment on this one, but here's another version, and I've got a grey colour base this time. The mountains were a bit lower, and I didn't blend as far down. You can see there where that white layer sort of pings out from underneath, which I didn't really like too much. This was Mossy Meadow that I used on this one with Old Olive for a different change. Okay, so this is what we made today. That was my sample that I showed you, and here's another option for you using exactly the same stuff, just different colourways to achieve all three of these cards. Okay, and so just something for the guys as well. So I hope you enjoyed that, and it's give you a bit of an idea of what you can do with the In the Grove stamp set and dies. All the links will be in the description. Please do give me some thumbs ups. It really helps build the channel, if you like the video, of course. And yeah, I hope you're staying safe. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Bye.